you head to the Ananta Discord, there is a very curious section that is available there called Game Suggestions. Now, for some of you, that might not be a big deal, but if you were watching my Wuthering Waves videos from before Wuthering Waves actually launched, you will remember that I used to do a series called Things That Fans Want from the Game, where I would go over the things that people suggest should be in the game and give my thoughts on them. So I decided to bring it back when I saw this section, and especially with a lot of the cool comments that I'm seeing there. So with that said, let's get into the video. Hey, what is up guys, it's Mordant. So for the first thing that we talk about in this video, let's talk about the story. It's one of the parts of every game that I thoroughly enjoy, so I think it's a good place for us to start. Now, when it comes to the story, Rehums or Rehums, I actually don't know how to pronounce this properly, made a suggestion that we should have a darker story in the game, and I actually agree with them. Now, Wuthering Waves, when it was announced, was actually supposed to be a darker, grittier story, but then it got changed because a lot of the people who saw the game, especially with the muted colors and everything, did not actually like that, and they wanted something that was a lot more pleasing to the eyes, and the devs actually delivered on that, which is good. I don't actually fault the devs for that. The story that Wuthering Waves has currently is good for what it is, but in the gacha game space at least, we don't see a lot of dark and gritty stories, which is something that, honestly speaking, I think should no longer be the case. I would like a lot more variety in the gacha space. Now, I'm not saying that happy stories should be thrown away and no one should ever do a happy story where things are not serious, or maybe things are serious but they're not extremely serious, nor are they extremely funny. What I want is variety. If I want a story that doesn't really lean into the dark side of everything, we can look at Wuthering Waves Genshin Impact. If we want something with a more serious story with deep lessons in them and complex characters and all of that, then let's look at some other games. Gacha games don't only have to be fun and whimsical. Now, like I've already said, I don't mind happy and fun stories. When you look at NTE, for example, in the beta test, I absolutely love how the story goes, especially with the animations. Everything looks good. But if we had more darker, grittier stories, we see characters dying, we see characters dealing with things that honestly would hurt a lot, I think that it would elevate the game a whole lot more. And if we look into the fact that Ananta is inspired by GTA, well, GTA 5, even though I technically would not call it a dark story, still had its dark times. And if they decide to take inspiration from GTA 5, then they can sort of like give us something like that. Something like when Trevor found out that Michael was the one that betrayed them on their last heist in the beginning of the game, and then the anger and tension between the two of them, even when they were on missions, because of how hurt Trevor was and doubtful of Michael at every turn. Like, things like that. I think that these things would actually make the story more interesting, but I'm actually curious to hear what you guys think. What kind of story would you guys like to see in the game? Would you like to see something that is more in tune with what we had with NTE, or would you like to see some very, very deep stuff? Let me know down in the comments. I'm actually very, very curious. Now, this next feature is technically already implemented in the game, at least in all of the little snippets of footage that we've seen from the game. This is talking about a smartphone system in the game and the ability to have social media and games on this smartphone. Now, this idea is technically already here. Like, the idea of having games inside the game is already here in the game, and we've already seen it implemented in some other games. For example, when Zenless Zone Zero was announced, a lot of content creators were very, very wrapped up in the Snake game, and they were competing with each other to see who could beat each other, who could remain at the top for the longest. You get my idea. So technically, this was already here, and in the development video that devs made for Ananta, they showed us that there are crane games already in the game. So it's not going to be unlikely for us to be able to actually have games that we could play on our virtual smartphones in the world. Now, the question is, what kind of games would we be able to play on these smartphones? And would it really even be worth it adding all of these systems in the game? I personally don't know. Like, I personally don't think I would engage with this unless maybe there is some form of competition with them where I can compete with my friend, and maybe that would bring my interest there. But if it's just something where I can just play alone, I personally don't think I'm going to care that much. Now, as for the social media, I think that this is already here. Now, if you've looked at all of the posts that Ananta has made as of 2025, you will notice that every single one of them is in a social media format. If you also look at the trailer that they did for Ananta before they decided to cancel the beta, it was also done in a social media format, very similar to like Instagram and TikTok. So I think that there is going to be a social media aspect to the game. Now the question is, how exactly are they going to implement it for us as players? Like, will they give us the ability to like take a picture of something that's happening in the world, or maybe when we're fighting enemies we can have someone record us, then we upload it, then we get more followers, and then the more followers you have, the more rewards you can get in some areas. For example, what if this was tied to a loyalty system where like in a certain area or even in the entire world, the more followers you have, the more discounts you can get in shops and all of those things. Similar to how like a content creator, the bigger they are, the more likely they are to be able to get things for free. A lot of companies will be reaching out to them to try to collaborate with them, to try to advertise through them. Like, I think something like that could work. Now, I would be interested in seeing how exactly the devs are going to implement it. I already know, like, I'm very sure, like, I'm 99% sure that this is already in the game. I'm just very curious to see how exactly they're actually going to implement it. Let me know your thoughts about how you guys would like to see these kinds of things implemented, because I think it would be nice if we had a system like this where we can get discounts if we decide to make ourselves more popular in the world. And if we have more followers and we're able to actually get discounts, then if we do something bad in the world, for example, let's say that the wanted system that is already in the game. By the way, if you didn't know that there was a wanted system in the game, then click the top right. That will take you to a video where it's basically explained to you. But what I'm saying is, if, like, for example, we commit crimes and our wanted system goes up and then we finally get arrested, we start to lose followers because, like I've already mentioned, all of our characters are probably government officials. And if they're government officials, then a lot of people's eyes are on them, which means that if they commit something bad, a lot of people are going to know. And if a lot of people know, you're going to lose a lot of followers. So a lot of companies will probably turn their backs on you. People that would normally give you discounts will refuse to give you discounts, or might even flat out not even decide to work with you. Like, things like that. I think that these kinds of things would make the open world a whole lot more interesting and a whole lot more lively. Now, these things are also going to be very hard to implement, so I'm very curious to see how exactly the devs are going to do it. Now, since the video is getting very long, let's talk about one more thing, and this thing is essentially going to be two things in one, but I'll talk about them together. One of them is something that I've been talking about ever since before Wuthering Waves actually launched. I wanted to see a system where the game actually allows you to talk to another player in co-op, a co-op mic system. When I made this suggestion for Wuthering Waves, a lot of people talked about how it could be abused and a lot of people could start using it to do a lot of bad things, but I've always used the same argument and I'll still use the same argument right now. Just because something can potentially be used to do something bad does not mean that you should throw it away completely. The internet existed to do good things, but now we hear about a ton of bad stuff that happens in the world. Cars are there to enable you to move around in the world very quickly. And yes, accidents can happen, but it doesn't mean that just because an accident can happen, you decide to not use a car, or you decide to punish the people who would actually benefit from using a car. Like, I've said this before. If you're going to add a mic system to any of these games, then give us, the owners of the world, some level of control over these things. For example, in Wuthering Waves, I suggested that if you're joining someone's world, give the owner of the world the ability to say that anyone who's coming into my world cannot turn on their mics, or only their friends can turn on their mics, or that they can request before they can actually talk, or if they come in, they can just use their mics immediately. Like, these are little things that I think would go a long way in making the game a safe space for a lot of people. And before someone tells me use Discord, not everyone can use Discord. It's very stressful. Trust me, I speak from a lot of experience. Now, the second point is also tied into co-op, and without the mic system in the game, I don't think it will work. It's roleplay, and I think that it's mainly coming from GTA Online, because in GTA Online, a lot of people roleplay as different things. You can roleplay as a cop, you can roleplay as a superhero, you can roleplay as anything you want, essentially, which I think is very awesome. I think it's something that a lot of people would enjoy. Now, I personally know that I'm not going to engage with the system, but I know that it's a very massive thing that a lot of people will absolutely appreciate, and I actually think that it should be in the game. So it would be very awesome to see if the devs would actually add a roleplay system in the game. Like, if they make it official, it would even be better, because that's going to be a way to keep the game alive for a very long time. Like, one of the reasons that GTA 5 is still very popular, even though it's been more than a decade since its release, is because of GTA Online. And one of the reasons why GTA Online is very good is because of the roleplay. But share your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about all of these things. And also subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. If you're interested in seeing some challenges, for example, what would Wuthering Waves be like if you played with only 4-star characters and only 5-star characters, then you're in luck, because I have actually made videos like that. I'll also be making some challenge videos for Ananta when it launches, and I'm planning on making a video like this for NTE and Wang Yue later on. So make sure you subscribe for that. Also join the hideout on Discord and leave your suggestions for videos in the comments or in my Discord channel, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, guys.